Thank you, Shiraz. Even I'm excited to share my findings. Yesterday was a very nice session. There were very interesting concepts that came up for the virtual platform. And today, moving forward, I am introducing my research from a virtual mode into a mixed modality where it was more focused on hybrid experiential learning. So we went into hybrid format. So just to give a brief introduction, I am Ruchira. I am part of Bahl Academy, New Delhi. I am part of Interiors Vertical at the School of Design. And I've been here for quite some time. And my forte or my concept of working with interiors and interior education is to get into more of experiential learning. And this experiential learning uh, thing that I tried with the hybrid mode, and it has come out as a very good result. And now we are aiming to convert at least 60 to 70% of our assignments into experiential learning on a hybrid model. So I'll just discuss my model. Basically, this research investigates a virtual learning environment combined with the practical hands-on execution in the real world scenario, done remotely by the students of interiors. Because again, as we were moving out of the lockdown, but we had still not opened up. We are still in that phase where there's partial movement of people, but the entire teaching was still on an online mode. That is why this research was done at that time and this model was developed. So this research is taking a case study approach in an interior design and construction studio. The context of the studio was to convert balcony or terrace spaces or their front yards. So in this model, what I did was there was asynchronous and synchronous sessions converted on an LMS, and the students were asked to execute their learnings in a practical real life scenario with actual materials from their comfort of their own homes. So after going through all the learning environments and the requirements of interior design education, the model which I proposed was a hybrid model in which there was a combination of virtual learning, both in the form of synchronous and asynchronous sessions, and a practical execution in the real world scenario using live materials. So students were asked to basically redesign their balcony spaces, or they were asked to do their front yards or terraces, take up an actual site and redo whatever they have learned in theory into a practical context. So basic task, this was a sequential approach of task where first step was to develop a concept of the design of the balcony or the terrace using all the theoretical material that was shared with them, the videos, the PPTs, the tutorials, and etc. Asynchronously. Then once they shared and read through all these materials, these people were asked to develop a design and come back to the faculty on a synchronous session and have a feedback session where faculty and the student has a one-on-one interaction, and they finalize the material, the look and feel, plants, whatever is required to make this entire space as a final makeover. Once these things were done, drawings and design solutions were built further, and the students then had to go out into the market to explore material, to finalize their design and execute them on site. So when they went out to the market to execute their design, they had to get in touch with vendors. They had to get in touch with carpenters, mason, painters, contractors, landscape contractors, just to get the entire thing executed practically. Once the execution was done, as we can see from the second image, they had put various styling elements like lighting and throws and cushions to get the final look and feel. So in this, we can see a balcony makeover happening. The first image is the raw image of the balcony. Then there is the process where the process is on the go, and the final is the last look and feel. So again, another image for the process, where again there was online synchronous sessions where we were doing back and forth feedback and all kinds of discussion on the online space. The students had gone back home at this time, so they were not there physically present in class. So we were doing online, And that was the actual space one of the students had taken, a corner of the terrace. Then there was conceptual planning, and then he got in touch with all the stakeholders who did bamboo work, got the bamboo mesh installed, and that was the final look and feel. Another project in which this was the front yard of the house of a student. He wanted to convert that space into a nice space where his parents could sit out and have a cup of coffee. That was the brief. So again, we did the designing, we did the execution. He got the people to do this MS framework, and then came up with this final look and feel of the space that he created in his front yard. So the overall experience of this exercise was very interesting to find out how was the learning of the students from the students, not only from on the virtual mode but also the physical mode. I conducted a survey to find out first the virtual mode, what was the good about it. So most of the students said it was a location and less travel time, because being in a city like Delhi, commuting to the college to and fro almost take 1.5 hours to commute to and fro. So for them, they were saving on that time a lot, away from the traffic and everything. Then they were also having enough time to learn at their own time and space, because all the sessions of synchronous feedback was recorded. They could always go back to the session at any point of time. We had also created a repository where all the asynchronous material was also there for anytime access to the student. So they had the entire content with them, so which they could go back at any point and go further while they were using the designing. And because the LMS was used also as a synchronous platform, it facilitated individual feedback, which most of them said that they made it feel more inclusive. It was more personalized, and they did not miss the face-to-face learning because of the synchronous sessions. Then when we move forward, we also found out that apart from virtual mode, the crux of the entire hybrid model was, which was very much appreciated by the student, was the build to learn exercise, basically the practical hands-on execution which they worked. Because while doing the practical hands-on execution, they found that apart from content knowledge, which they usually have when they are just working on assignments, they got to know to work with site problems that are come on site, how to deal with stakeholders, work on their communication skills, getting work done, market know-how, where to source materials. So these were some of the very interesting things they came up with. When I had a group discussion with most of these students of this hybrid model, what was the good part? They said that the live sessions in real time enabled individual feedback. Right material in the market at a minimum cost for them was a challenge, because they never knew market dynamics till date. Then finding the right material, getting to know the market, and dealing with the challenges of the site was something which most of them enjoyed during that time, because they were like actually bored sitting at home during the lockdown, and it was very challenging for them to go out and do this work. So, and some people also came with the feedback that by doing this exercise, they had more confidence when they are going to venture out into the practical field, that they will be able to handle labor and various kinds of things. So again, same things, like when the virtual learning background, it was almost same thing. It was more inclusive, less time travel, flexibility in learning, greater sense of community, own time and pace, and one-on-one feedback. These were basically the pros of using the LMS. And built to learn exercises also improve their problem solving ability, communication skills, critical thinking. So in the process, students became more self-directed learners. They also got the confidence to apply their theory into practical. And this in turn increased their involvement and their retention capacity in the entire process. Now the challenges, again, with each model, there are certain challenges we come up with. Some students complained of adapting to this new instructional method because they were too comfortable, like the entire schooling, their entire graduation, they had that assignment based submissions, so they were not very comfortable with the new instructional method. They were had to move out of their comfort zone, go into the market. So this was a challenge for some of the students. There was some reluctance at some places where they did not like to move out of their comfort zone. Then dealing with the stakeholders was also a challenge, when most of them said that it is not easy to get work done. It is easy to do the work, but getting work done from a third party was something that was very difficult. Some of them also had monetary and infrastructure challenges, which they addressed at the end of the exercise. Now, as we move forward, what I feel is that the more flexible and adaptive a learning environment becomes, of the time and space and place, it is easy to create a learning environment which is like entirely free of a classroom space. So a very important aspect of this model was the scalability aspect. This model, we are doing part of it online and part of it on your own space. This model had a lot of potential in terms of scaling or the scalability aspect. So while identifying as we move forward, I thought, why not scale this model from the house to maybe a lab, to maybe a maker space, to maybe a workshop, to maybe an architect studio, where they can go and do these live executions. So for this semester, when we are now back to offline, we have started integrating this model, and it is like 40% of our assignments have almost become experiential learning, wherein we are using this model. And now we need to become proactive rather than reactive to whatever is happening. The findings of this study will also help to create a roadmap for future of hybrid learning, specifically in skill-based course like interiors. Experiential learning in a hybrid space is becoming more popular as a form of education because it gives a more holistic learning experience to the student. And we can really design flexible and adaptive learning models which will work for all type of learners for the uncertainties the future hold for us. So I think this model somehow opened more doors in terms of flexibility, because students could learn from the own homes, and they need not come to hubs or centers where colleges and institutions are centralized, and still the learning is good. So this model worked that way, and it's going good and great as far as today also we are using it in our most of our exercises. Yeah. So thank you. That was it.